Hello everyone and welcome to this series. As some of you may have already known, I've spent one of my holiday weeks to participate in the grenke Freestyle chess tournament. This is apparently the biggest chess tournament in the world. There were over 3,700 participants. And it was the debut of this new freestyle variant, also known as Chess 960 or Fischer Random. And I've participated in the tournament. I played all 9 rounds in the freestyle format. I barely qualified for the A Open. There's a little bit of a funny backstory where I had actually taken a break from chess for like 5 years and came back, played an international tournament and got my first ELO, as you can see on the bottom here. And that was actually the reason why I even got to play in the A Open, which was, I believe, ELO above 1950. And I was super excited to play this tournament. I love freestyle chess. I hate opening theory, as everyone knows. And I played some what I believe to be some really cool and interesting games. So I decided to make a little recap for each of the rounds. And so let's get into it. In round 1, I got a very strong pairing, as was expected. It was in a Swiss format. For everyone that doesn't know, a Swiss format means the first half of the players are going to play against the bottom half of the players in round 1. So I got paired against a very strong international master from Kazakhstan, actually. And I'm not even gonna try to pronounce her name. She introduced herself as Sarah, so that's how I will refer to her. I was a little bit embarrassed after the game because I actually didn't know who she was, and everyone else I talked to immediately know who she was. The former Blitz World Champion, and a very strong player. And so let's get right into the game. The starting position here had the rook in the corner, the king in the corner, and most notably, of course, the queen on the king's side, both knights in the middle. So fairly interesting position. And when the game started, so just to go a little bit of the format, they did like a projection on the wall where they give the position, and then everyone was setting up their boards, and then basically immediately they started the timer. I was playing as white in this game, and I looked at the position a little bit. The time control was 90 minutes, so 1 hour 30 plus 30 seconds increment per move, which sounds like a lot, but actually was very tricky, especially considering that you can't blitz out any moves, and a lot of freestyle games are decided within like the first 10 or 15 moves many times. Plus, if you don't want to play the entire endgame on increment, it's going to be tough. So long story short, I didn't want to spend too much time in this position, so I just noticed. You're probably not gonna castle short in this position. You're gonna have to move out your queen. But I also wanted to make sure I get everything developed. And already my first move here, and this is interesting for me because after having played some games, I look at this very different now. But the move I decided to open with was already a mistake. The best move here is G4, opening up the queen, the bishop, and the rook. This is a very common theme, and looking back at it now, it makes tons of sense. What I decided to go with is already a slight mistake because I pushed b3. Simply going for the fianchetto. I was thinking, okay, if I get the fianchetto in before she gets to push G5, then the queen's going to be locked up forever. It's supported by the knight and by the bishop, and I mean, how bad can this really be, right? You get the fianchetto, you get the knight, and then you can castle long, and then basically start playing on the king's side, right? That was my idea, at least. But of course, this is already a bit slow, let's say. And she, of course, immediately went G5, and after after I went g4. Basically, in this, whenever the rooks are like opposite, you have to be careful that you're not gonna get boxed in the next move, right? Especially because this is a little bit of a soft spot, as we'll see later. But yeah, she of course played g5. I replied with g4, and now actually she again found the best move, which was bishop g7, just trading off the bishop. Apparently, the best move here is already giving up a pawn. I wasn't really like so after knight c3, bishop takes. This is apparently somewhat decent. Maybe you get in some quick development, but I of course just wanted to trade off the bishop, and yeah, as you can see by the eval, this is already better for black, and just goes to show how quickly you can lose the advantage. Again, here very logical. She played the best move. H5, and I wasn't really entirely sure what to do here. The computer wants to play H3, which is already a concession, but I wanted to go a little bit aggressive. So I was looking at the rooks here, being that they can be a little bit soft. So I decided to take. She took with her queen, and now I played f4. Basically saying you can't take the pawn because your rook's hanging. So I figured, okay, I mean, how bad can this be? She of course didn't take the pawn. She pushed g4. Here, this is a very instructive, missed opportunity, because of course here you should play h3, basically getting rid of your weakness, because what's gonna follow next is quite logical and simply just strong for black. But okay, I decided, okay, we got a pawn on f4, so why not try to grab a little bit of center, and I pushed e4 in this position, just getting the center, and I was like, I was feeling okay in this position. Like, okay, I was noticing that this was going to be a weak spot, but I was thinking, okay, as long as I can prevent f5, how bad can this really be, right? She went to bed and played rook h8, and this already goes to show why this is an advantage for black, because this pawn is simply going to be weak. Now I never have the option of pushing, because there's no longer this pin. So h3 earlier was a missed opportunity for me, and now I get to pay the cost, and I already have to get creative here. I believe I played bishop e2 here. No, actually I castled first, because if takes, there's of course this hanging at the end, and this is not going to be an issue. So I took the opportunity to castle. Remind yourself, castling is still the same as in regular chess in freestyle chess. So I figured this could be a decent move, and she of course can't take because g4 is hanging at the end. So she pushed d6 here, just watching over the pawn. And let me just turn this off for one moment. And I would have played. I played f5 here first, just reiterating the threat. I figured this is going to be a useful move, and I was always slightly worried that if she's going to get an f5 herself, then this pawn is going to be weak after I take, and I have to make sure that I get this somehow, right? So she's playing at my weakness on h2, I'm playing against her weakness on g4, and this is why I decided to push f5, also taking away square from the knight, and but yeah, mostly to prevent her pushing f5 herself. In this position, knight f6, very logical move, hitting my pawn, protecting this, and is already you can say by the eval it is not going in a good direction. This is where I played bishop e2. Keep in mind, I always have to make sure that this is not possible for black, and so I'm just putting another attacker on g4 here, and after knight. After knight c6, I played d3. Oops. which is apparently already a huge blunder. It looked fairly normal to me because I just want to make sure this is protected, this still isn't hanging, and after push, I just wanted to take, and I don't know, maybe someday get my knight developed. But you can already tell by the coordination, the black's in much better shape here. Her king is actually very, very safe here, and she can maybe even push this someday. And of course, she always has this break, and maybe even sometimes some trick like this. I'm a little bit like I wasn't entirely convinced that this is a huge blunder, but okay. So she went ahead and played knight d4 here, simply attacking my bishop and threatening a fork. So I have to defend this. I have two moves here that both make sense, either rook g2 or rook d2. In this position, I believe I took a very long think here. I'm a little bit down on time already, but this felt like a crucial decision to me. So there's a good rationale for both of these moves, right? If you play rook g2, it also covers h2 immediately. It covers the bishop, and you can maybe sometimes go queen g1, reiterating this threat. Rook d2, however, also watches over the bishop, watches over c2, and sometimes gives you the option of going bishop d1. Also, it keeps the queen open, so I decided to go with rook d2 in the end. Just trying to be somewhat solid, but you could always say, see, the computer completely hates my position, even though it's equal material, and you will see another point pretty soon. Have to be careful about like any sort of pins against my king, and this is now where she pushed e6, which I of course expected, or actually I thought was going to happen eventually. I of course have to take because I can never allow her to take, and yeah, this was basically forced, and this actually was a little bit surprising to me. Because I believe she took with the bishop here, and I was very worried that she was just gonna take with the pawn, and then just push this, have an amazing position, and so I had to get the door there. But yeah, what I was worried about here is that she was just gonna push d5, have like an amazing pawn chain. This is always protected, bishop here, and then long castles, and basically just crush me. What she played wasn't bad either, but maybe a little bit of an inaccuracy, because at least it gives me some hope on this weak pawn. Maybe I can get my rook over on a good day, and maybe create a little bit of counterplay. But okay, my position still sucks, obviously. I'm down to 33 minutes. She's basically blitzing out everything. And yeah, in this position I decided to play bishop d1, which apparently is another mistake. But it looked very normal to me. Basically, I want to protect this. I want to make sure this knight, this bishop doesn't get taken. Overprotect this. Just keep a little bit of coordination. And once the bishop moves, I was thinking, okay, now you can free your queen. You can maybe play rook f1, and at least get some hope. After I played this move, I immediately, or not immediately, but I was very, very worried about exactly this move, queen h5 here. And the reason why this move is so deadly is simply put, it hits the pawn on a2. And I can't rely on king b1, which I was of course hoping for, because then my rook is hanging on d2. So I was actually like, immediately here I was like, okay, so if this happens, I guess I just lose, right? The other thing is, after something like a4, then there's another problem in queen c3. And queen c3, simply, like, all of this is still hit, and it's just gonna be knight takes. Let me just put this on the board, actually, to make it easier. So king b1 can't be it, because then my rook's hanging, and if I play a4, I'm pretty sure that, let's check this. Yeah, she can just go here, and my best move is actually to move the rook out of the way, but then this falls with check. and I can't recapture because the king is the pawn is pinned here. So this was already very 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 sad moment. But I mean, like, truth be told, like, maybe this was better, but it's already very very tough. It's already very very tough. Thankfully she went for long castles here. A little bit of a slower approach, of course. And this at least gave me time to now play Rook f1, which is, I believe, what I did, right? Yeah. Rook f1, just hitting the knight. And again, in this position, this is still very strong for the same reason. Apparently, so a4 still doesn't work, king b1 still doesn't work, but apparently this still works. She told me after the game. Because after b5, I was like, okay, I'm just going to resign because I don't even have knight c3 here. Like, this just goes to show how bad my position is. That I simply don't control any squares. I don't have my dark squared bishop. Everything about my king is everything is square here is weak, and yeah, just terrible, just terrible. And what she was a little bit worried about is after b5, I at least get to play c3, and now two pieces are hanging. So I could understand why this maybe wasn't exactly desirable. So in the game she played, I believe, queen g5. Yeah, just I don't believe this is such a huge blunder. As you can see, it's still winning for black. And yeah, just protecting the knight, getting out of the pin here. That may be redirected at some point h3. But at least it now gave me time to play queen g1 with tempo, because now the knight's hit, and you don't really want to play c5 here. It weakens this, and maybe in some lines you have to be a little bit careful about this. Maybe my knight gets into the game somehow, yeah, it also introduced the idea of going knight f3, because the pawn can't take because of the pin. Lots of pins here in this game, as you're noticing. And yeah, my pawn is nicely protected now at last. And so yeah, this is for the first time I was feeling like slightly better. But you can also tell, like, I'm down to 24 minutes here. The position is still complicated. Very few pieces got traded, and it's just tough. But at least I put up a little bit of a fight here. I went queen f2, just hitting this knight again, and she decided to cover it, and multifunctional move to double up here. Now I again have my queen on the side, but okay, I offered a queen trade here. Because once the queen's got traded, I was figuring, like, okay, the endgame is still bad, but at least I have some pressure here. This is still like a little bit awkward for black, and yeah, maybe I have some hope here, right? She of course didn't take the queen trade. She went queen g7, which is the best move. I went rook g2. These are just very very normal moves in my opinion. This actually threatens for the first time h3 again, which is now actually a big threat. Because this is hit 3 times now, I can maybe double up, develop by knight, and maybe start targeting this, right? But she of course stepped off the pin, hit this pawn again, and now I took a very very long think again. I'm down to 30 minutes, but it's actually like you can try for yourself, but it's actually very very tough in my opinion here to even come up with like a sensible move, right? because all of your pieces still, like, this knight is still terrible, but you don't want to go. You don't really want to move your rook. The bishop is actually like doing okay somewhat, but I just have no squares here. On the dark squares, I don't really want to trade my knight. I want to get this knight into the game, right? But how am I ever going to do that? So in this position, I took a very very long think, and I eventually came up with c3, which is, according to the engine, actually a decent move here. Simply trying to go. Let me turn this off again. Simply trying to go knight c2, and maybe on a good day get my pawns rolling. But it is not lost on me, like, how bad my king position here is, and how black is just much better coordinated, with the only weakness being on f7 here, which is of course my favorite square. Okay, but in the game she again found a very strong idea. She just went she just went d5 here, and this break makes a lot of sense now, because the queen is actually indirectly targeting this pawn, which is of course unprotected. And it just makes sure I don't get time. Like in an ideal world, if I get to push this and this, then I'm probably completely fine. But she doesn't give me time to push this. I can never take this. I can never take this because knight takes is just lights out. The queen's gonna come to life. The knight's gonna take here. It's just terrible. It's just terrible. So again, I'm down to 6 minutes now. I took a little bit of think, and I decided to just give up the pawn. I went d4 here. The computer hates it, of course, as always. If you're trying to get a pawn, the computer wants to push this, I believe. But I just didn't see like what happens after this, right? Because like this pawn just falls. Queen is on it. Knight's on it. And I was thinking, okay, after I push d4, at least if she takes with the knight. You can at least like hope for something, right? Because this is at least the weakness, and taking with the pawn, I at least get my knight developed, right? That's kind of what I was thinking. But in the game, she did take with the pawn. I went knight c2. And but yeah, the problem is this position just plays itself for black now. Knight d5, just very not natural, very very strong move. I have to be careful. Like I can't drop this. I can't really go here. It's just falling apart, and she demonstrated this nicely. Rook h3. I have to watch this, and then now comes a very very grandmaster move. I mean, she's 2500. That's basically grandmaster, right? I mean, she's gonna be a grandmaster. This for no reason at all. Knight takes c3, just temporarily sacrificing a piece. I didn't see this at all, of course. Like I'm in blitz mode here. I of course have to take, but now after knight takes here, I can basically pick my poison. I took the knight, just trading material and praying. Rook takes, and now I realized what's the problem. I can't go. I can't defend this knight because the problem is no matter where I go. I went queen e1 here, and no matter where I go, rook takes here is going to be a check. It doesn't matter if I go here, same thing. This is actually probably worse, or maybe I can do this, but it all sucks. The point is after I went queen e1 check, and now I just can't take the rook. I can't take the rook because if I take the rook, this is going to be a check, and no matter how I take, queen is gone. Or if I go up here, then queen takes, and I'm just down a full piece from being up a full piece. So a very nice the combination to secure the win here. I went. I remember this. I was down to 4 seconds, and I played king b1 here. But it's of course hopeless. I played a couple of more moves. Rook h3. I took there. And after bishop takes, rook takes, takes. Now at least I made like a little bit of an attempt, because I played queen c3 here, and now I at least set a little bit of a trap, because if you now go rook check takes and take the queen, I actually have checkmate on on g8 at the end. It's of course a cheap trick. It's never gonna work. She has half an hour on the clock. So after this, she went f5, and after rook c1, I at least get to threaten checkmate once, which is nice. But of course, rook here, and after this, I decided to resign the game, because there's nothing to play for. My rook's hanging. The queen's going to get traded, because this is still checkmate. I decided to resign the game. I wasn't like, apart from the opening, I wasn't actually too unhappy with my play here. I believe I put up a little bit. It's somewhat of a fight in the middle game, and once this game was finished, however, I was feeling a little bit feeling the pressure, because going into the tournament, I was thinking, okay, it doesn't matter. Like, even if you lose every game, it's not gonna affect anything, right? But after playing this game, I realized she's obviously gonna be a top contender to win the prize for the best female performance, right? And so it actually matters how I'm gonna score in the tournament, because that's gonna be the tiebreaker in case you have the same score. So after this, I was thinking, okay, now you're gonna have to have a good tournament, so she gets. she gets some points for a secondary rating. And spoilers alert, she did end up winning the prize there. And apparently, I believe this was in game 2 or 3. She even had a like crushing position against Fabiano Caruana. Unfortunately, wasn't able to convert it, but just goes to show the class. And yeah, we're very, very honored to have played this game in round 1. Very expected and very, very deserved loss. And yeah, that's gonna wrap up this video. I'm gonna make the other recaps for the second and following rounds. And yeah, thank you for watching, and see you in the next one.